Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, June 5. I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. Special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. There are concerns this afternoon from the opposition that enough is not being done to address crime. According to the opposition spokesman on national security, Fitz Jackson, more money is needed for social programs to reduce crime and violence across the country. TVJ's O'Shane Masters tells us more.
Mayhem and frustration across sections of the island as gunmen continue to wreak havoc. It has left many questioning, is the government doing enough to deal with the crime situation? Despite various meetings with a number of organizations, the results are not evident. The government in 2017 instituted a state of emergency in St. James, which resulted in a decline in murders. However, months after the SOE was lifted in January, murders increased again, leading to the reimposition of the SOE in April. But the opposition spokesman on national security, Fitz Jackson, says the SOE and other security measures are just band-aid solutions. He says the permanent fix is social intervention.
Look at the level of crime reduction in the central Kingston area with the PMI. 70% reduction. No state of emergency. But that 70% reduction never took place in one budgetary item allocation. It never took place in any 3-month state of emergency in there. And that's what makes it sustainable. So we have the proof. We just need to organize and mobilize towards it and to implement it.
Mr. Jackson says if the country is to move forward in tackling the issue, bipartisan support, including passing of legislation, is needed.
The Americans talk about it all the time. Compromise. That's the art of effective government. But there's a mentality by this Prime Minister that we will improve so we can do it, and you just try to do it alone. I see all the results with NIDS. But there's a kind of one-upmanship that is standing in the way. Look at this crime forum. Private sector group, church group, everybody group are asked for. And the Prime Minister refused to even get everybody at the table for over 1 year. Know why? That kind of immature, self-centered kind of approach is not in Jamaica's interest.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The Old Harbour Police have released the identities of the man and woman who were shot and killed in the market on Market Street in Old Harbour, St. Catherine on Tuesday. They are 37-year-old vendor Donovan Young, otherwise called Fargo, and 24-year-old Ushin Moncrief, both of Old Harbour addresses. Reports from the police are that the two were at Young's shop sometime after 2 o'clock in the afternoon when armed men entered and opened gunfire, hitting them both. They were taken to hospital where they were pronounced dead. No motive has been established for the killing. The body of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga is now lying in state at the Jamaica Labour Party JLP headquarters on Belmont Road in St. Andrew. The proceedings at the JLP headquarters began this morning at 11 o'clock and will continue until 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's the first of several locations where members of the public will be able to pay their respects. Mr. Seaga's body will also be lying in state in St. James at the Montague Bay Civic Centre at Sam Sharp Square on Wednesday, June 7 from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Then at St. John's Anglican Church in Ocheria, St. Anne from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. On Monday, June 10 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. it will be at the Tivoli Gardens Community Centre. Then at the Denham Town Community Centre from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Tuesday, June 11. The state funeral for Edward Seaga will be held at the Holy Trinity Cathedral on North Street in Kingston, beginning at 12 noon on Sunday, June 23. An urgent call is being made for the public to be on the lookout for signs of human trafficking within our surroundings. The call follows the recent sentencing of a Clarendon resident, Aston Alcock, for human trafficking and sexual exploitation of a 13-year-old girl. Speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program on Tuesday, senior prosecutor at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, SHARON MILLWOOD Moore, said there has been a misconception when children are seen in uncommon situations. She says adults tend to willfully be blind when they see some of these situations.
The instinctive response of too many of us in society is the person is bad. A bad shabad, that's why this happened or that's why this was happening. What we need to recognize is that irrespective of what could be a decision on the part of a child, A child cannot consent, or anybody for that matter, to be exploited.
Correct.
Nor can a child consent to being engaged in sexual intercourse.
She wants parents to be wiser, as there is a troubling trend where women are playing lead roles in the human trafficking of children.
Often, even when there's a man at the front, we as a society need to recognize and ask ourselves where we are really heading, because many times there are women who play prominent roles in the organizations, and they help to befriend and gain the trust of the child.
In the meantime, Mrs. Millwood Moore stated that investigators are following another angle in the case. She says Alcock was able to gain the trust of the teen who he found at a bus stop in Denham Town, Kingston, after offering her food.
And then he asked her if she would wish to go to Mandeville. She accepted his offer and went to Mandeville. Eventually, the situation was to become one where what she was made to do was to perform acts of sexual intercourse for the purpose of entertainment in exotic clubs, both in Manchester and in St. Anne.
She revealed that participants in the sexual assault of the child are being pursued. This recent conviction is the 6th since the Trafficking in Persons Act was passed in 2007 and the first conviction since the Act was amended in 2018. Following the announcement by Mining Minister Robert Montague that no mining is taking place or planned for in the Cockpit Country Protected Area, the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, is calling for the boundary to be completely verified on the ground, gazetted and declared protected under Jamaican law. According to a release from the organization, there's nothing to stop mining taking place in the protected area. In 2018, the government of Jamaica had granted a special mining lease to Naranda New Day Bauxite Company, which allows bauxite mining in sections of Cockpit Country in St. Anne and Trelawney, which were left out of the designated protected area. JET also noted that special exclusive protecting licenses which overlap the designated Cockpit Country Protected Area boundary in sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth and St. James are yet to be amended by the government. With that, JET says a number of assurances were needed from the government. It says, for one, greater clarity on where the Cockpit Country Protected Area CCPA boundary lies.
So what did the government consider to be important versus not important? What were these factors that established this boundary? Where is it and why is it there?
JET also says it needs a detailed updated timeline for the on-the-ground verification of the CCPA boundary by the Forestry Department, a deadline for when the CCPA will be declared protected and closed to mining under Jamaican law. The GOJ's commitment that no other mining lease or protecting licenses will be granted until the CCPA has been protected under law. The prosecutions that will be secured for ecologically sensitive areas of the Cockpit Country which have been left outside the designated protected area. The available options for Cockpit Country communities which happen to lie outside the CCPA and do not want bauxite mining in their communities. And we take a break here on the Midday News, but we'll have more stories right after these messages. Welcome back, continuing the news. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says his ministry may need to do more to inform people about going to seek medical attention at clinics. This is in response to our highlight on the comprehensive clinic in Kingston and the harsh conditions patients face while waiting for the facility to open. The minister says while he understands that people want to get served quickly, the administration is not in a position to give preferential treatment to individuals.
If you adjust for every single case, then you're going to create chaos. There are some rules engaged in the process. I'm not saying we can't revisit those rules, but once those rules are there, they're there for a particular purpose. And again, in this particular circumstances, there are security concerns. And frankly speaking, I don't think the security guard has the response of the authority to open up the health center to allow somebody in. And it would be unfair to ask them to do that, frankly speaking.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, says soon it will be better able to help more homeless people transition back into society. The issue was addressed by local government minister Desmond McKenzie in Parliament recently. Mayor of Kingston, DELROY Williams, says it's now closer to reality as a new transitional centre is to be built over the next 18 months. This in addition to the Marie Atkins Night Shelter on Hanover Street in Kingston.
So it's about 80 to 120 persons at the Marie Atkins. And here it will be approximately 100 persons. So there will be a section for males and another for females. So total in 100. Of course, that would not stop. So that is for persons who are residing or sleeping here. That would not stop other homeless persons from coming in during the days and having a meal or a shower.
The transition centre is to be built on King Street in Kingston. Construction is to begin October this year with an anticipated completion date of October 2020. Farmers are being urged to get with the times in using more modern technology in the growing of their produce. The call comes from Mining Minister Robert Montague at a recent function in St. Anne titled Mining Meets Agriculture.
With greenhouse technology, you can have a viable business. And what we are finding is that within the greenhouse clusters, persons have targets, Councillor Ricketts, and they are surpassing the targets. There is a 30,000 pound target for greenhouses and for tomatoes and a 50,000 pound target for sweet peppers. And in almost all the clusters, they are surpassing the targets. The days of farmers riding a donkey and a mule is over because the farmers in the clusters are now buying pickups and SUV.
He also noted the need for new methods of farming such as hydro and aquaponics.
A lot of persons are just getting used to hydroponics. That is growing vegetables purely in liquids. A liquid fertilizer and you grow the vegetables. What they are moving now is another level of putting fish in that water. So you're growing the fish and you're growing the vegetables so that you have a complete meal. You have the protein from the fish and you have your vegetables.
And here now is a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at the importance of ensuring your water is safe for consumption.
It will affect people having sanitation, and if there's not proper sanitation, then you won't be able to wash your food properly, to prepare food properly, clean your utensils and all of that properly, and so you can have disease spreading as a result of that.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. The following are the common ways to purify your water. Boiling. This is a reliable way to purify water. Use chlorine drops. Chlorine has the ability to kill bacteria in water. Use water filter and use ultraviolet light.
We go on to news overseas. In the United States, the police have arrested the school resource officer who was on duty during the Parkland School massacre last year. 17 people died at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. Now, Scott Peterson faces charges for his response during the incident. We have more from the CNN.
On February 14, 2018, as a gunman killed students and staff inside a Parkland, Florida high school, Scott Peterson was outside, behind a stairwell. The Broward County deputy assigned to protect the students at the school had his gun drawn and wore his bulletproof vest, but he stood shielded away from the gunfire.
He stood there for some 48 minutes and did nothing.
17 people died in the attack.
He needs to go to jail and he needs to serve a lifetime in prison for not going in that day and taking down the threat, and that led to the death of our loved ones.
More than 15 months after the shooting, Peterson was arrested by the deputies from the department he used to serve.
We swear an oath to protect the public that we serve. If you don't do your job, you will be held accountable.
Peterson faces 11 counts, including felony child neglect, negligence, and perjury. His attorney vows to fight the charges, which he calls politically motivated retribution. Parkland parents say the developments are bittersweet.
We miss our children every day, and there's nothing that's going to bring them back, and we know that. But it just hurts so much, and I know that whatever accountability comes our way doesn't bring back.
We go now to news in sports. Swim coach Rory Alvaranga says he's willing to take his recent disciplinary case with the Aquatic Sports Association of Jamaica to the highest level, as there seems to still be clouds over the status of his suspension. In a story carried on TVJ Sports this morning, ASAJ President Martin Lynn noted that Alvaranga's suspension was reduced as opposed to being lifted. Now, ASAJ President Martin Lynn was speaking in Primetime Sports on Tuesday. However, Alvaranga, who allegedly struck his teenage daughter while they were in China participating in an exchange program last summer, is concerned about the president's comment. The letter dated May 29 sent to Alvaranga by the ASAJ, which TVJ Sports has obtained, stated, quote, "As a result of the undertakings requested by the ministry to protect the Jamaica-China relationship, the conditions of the sanction are now lifted," end quote. When we tried to get a response from Mr. Lynn this morning, we were told he was in a meeting. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.